17 upgrade. So today I'm going to be installing the Traxxas Velineon system to Kojot. I'm having a bit of issues with the Castle and Reedy motor that's on there. They just overheat too quickly and I think it's time for them to go. So I'm going to go ahead and replace them with these. Now the ESC was donated to me by RC Guys 100 and the motor comes from Radio Control 360. Thank you guys so much. Now as you can see, this ESC has been dyed black. And yeah, all you have to do is dip it in boiling water, and if you're willing to do that and risk ruining the ESC, go for it. I wouldn't really recommend it, but the results do speak for themselves. They do look better this way. However, you can see that the tabs have been broken off, so I'm going to have to be using RPM's ESC cage. This I bought myself. So let's go ahead and get this all installed. So the first thing I'm going to do is unplug the ESC. Now in order to get to the receiver, I have to undo the waterproof receiver box as well as the wire tie down. It's all held together with 4 screws. 2 right here and then 1 on each side. Once those screws are out of the way, I'm just going to go ahead and pop off the top as well as the wire brace, and then I'm going to unplug the ESC, which is going to be plugged into channel 2. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull the wire through, and then it's time to take the ESC out itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is unplug it from the motor, and then I'm going to undo this screw where the plate is held down, which the ESC is mounted to. Now it's time to just go ahead and pull out the ESC. So now it's time to go ahead and install the new ESC, but I'm going to have to go ahead and install the ESC cage like I mentioned before. First of all, we're going to start off with the mounting plate. Just slides into position like that and it's held down with 2 screws. Once that's taken care of, I'm going to get the ESC. I'm going to make sure that the plug is in position since I'm not going to be using it. And I'm just going to slide the wires through and then mount the top of the ESC cage onto the ESC just like that. And now it's held onto the plate using 4 screws, 1 on each corner. Once that's all taken care of, I'm just going to go ahead and get the plug for the ESC, feed it through the top of the waterproof receiver box, as well as the blue seal itself, plug it into channel 2, and then I'm going to tuck all the wires in and then redo the 4 screws that hold in the top of the waterproof receiver box as well as the wire tie down. Now that the ESC has been taken care of, it's time to move on to the motor. I'm going to be undoing 3 screws. 1 screw is going to be holding down the wire tie down, the next screw is going to be the one that holds the motor plate to the mounting plate, and then the last screw is the one that holds on the gear cover. So with those screws out of the way, I'm just going to go ahead and pop off the gear cover and then slide out the motor itself. Well, the pinion gear, as you can see, is too big for me to go ahead and put on the new motor, so I'm just going to leave it on the motor. However, the engine heatsink can be taken off, and I need to remove the motor mount plate, which is only held on with 2 screws. Now that I got the plate off, I can go ahead and attach it to the new motor. Now if you're wondering how it goes in there, the plate sits like this. So you just got to go ahead and make sure that the wires are on top, line it up with the holes, and then screw it in. However, I do love this blue color, but not on Kojot. So I think it's time to go ahead and de-anodize it. And check it out, a de-anodized Velineon motor. Looks pretty good, honestly. It's not as exciting as the blue, but with Kojot's theme, believe me guys, this is going to look a lot better. So like I mentioned before, I'm just going to line up the plate and then put in the 2 screws that hold it in place. Now that that's been taken care of, I'm going to go ahead and slide on a pinion gear. And I'm not going to tighten the grub screw that holds it on yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slide the motor in, I'm going to line up the gears, and then I'm going to tighten down the grub screw. Now that the pinion gear has been adjusted to the right length, I have to go ahead and tighten down the mounting screw. So you want the perfect spacing in between the pinion and the spur gear. You don't want them so tight that they're grinding, but you don't want them so far apart, otherwise they'll strip. Once you find that happy medium, go ahead and tighten this screw down. Once that's taken care of, you can go ahead and reattach the gear cover, plug in the wires, and then attach the wire tie down. Now since the motor does sit in a certain way where the wires go right across the top of it, it's going to be a really tight fit for this motor heatsink. Maybe sometime in the future I'll go ahead and grind down the fins, that way they aren't being rubbed up against the wires. Now the last thing to do is to go ahead and program the ESC. I already have it plugged into a battery, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to push and hold the button until the light turns red, let it go. It's going to blink once, Pull the throttle down, blink twice, put it in reverse, and it is programmed. Here is before. And there is the new ESC and motor, guys. I have to say, it looks pretty darn good, especially since I de-anodized a Velineon motor. So once again, RC Guys 100 and Radio Control 360, thank you for the awesome donation. And that was Kojot's level 17 upgrade.